Good morning. It's Tuesday, November 30th. I'm Taylor Abear, suiting up for the Big Bash. We're still feeling the holiday, giving thanks for you, our viewers. If you're thankful for Top Story, please take a second to like and subscribe. And now, enjoy a sample of the full World Watch show here at Top Story. Cause for concern declared Friday by authorities from the World Health Organization after the recent discovery of a new variant of the COVID-19 virus called Omicron.
This variant has a large number of mutations, and some of these mutations have some worrying characteristics.
The WHO said these changes would potentially make Omicron more transmissible and possibly increase its resistance to the immune protections of the current vaccines. Their concern is based on preliminary data, but much is still unknown about the variant, and studies are underway to better understand the mutations of the virus. Omicron was first reported by scientists in South Africa last week.
Looking at the mildness of the symptoms that we are seeing, currently there's no reason for panicking. So far, we've only seen breakthrough infections, not severe infections.
Fearing a spike in cases, many nations issued travel bans from the region to slow the spread. But that ship may have already sailed, or planes flew, as the case may be. Incidents of the Omicron variant discovered in other nations on a daily basis this week.
2 cases so far identified here in the UK.
A flight from South Africa introduced numerous cases to the Netherlands.
13 people out of 61 who tested positive have the new Omicron coronavirus variant.
Time and research will tell if Omicron warrants the heightened concern it's now receiving. Australian troops are on the ground in the Solomon Islands. Their purpose is to establish peace and stability after multiple days of anti-government protests.
It is not the Australian government's intention in any way to intervene in the internal affairs of the Solomon Islands. That is for them to resolve. I've made that very clear. Our presence there does not indicate any position on the internal issues of the Solomon Islands.
The government announced a lockdown, but that didn't stop protesters from looting and burning buildings. The capital's Chinatown district took the biggest hit, with many buildings going up in flames. Much of the area has been reduced to rubble. 4 members of the Solomon Islands Parliament resigned over the weekend. Protesters are calling for the Prime Minister to resign, but he says he has no intention of doing so. The opposition accuses him of corruption, most notably in 2019 when the South Pacific island changed its allegiance from Taiwan to China. That move is still controversial and surrounded by rumors of bribery. Shattered glass and bare shelves at several high-end stores last week after a string of smash-and-grab crimes rocked major U.S. cities. Not your average sneaky shoplifters hitting stores like Nordstrom and Louis Vuitton. Large organized groups are behind the robberies, some 80 people mobbing one Nordstrom in San Francisco. Wearing masks and hoodies, they swarmed in violently and emptied entire cases and shelves. Retail crime is nothing new, especially this time of year. Stores are stocked up for the holiday season. But authorities are alarmed at how brazen and aggressive these thieves are. They point to several contributing factors, including the internet, where thieves have an easy time reselling stolen goods.
We've allowed criminal networks to create a business model selling stolen goods online, and that is what's put this problem on steroids.
Also, retail theft is a lower priority for police. It's hard to identify, prosecute, and punish such criminals. But the National Retail Federation says organized retail crime took a $700,000 bite out of every $1 billion in sales last year. Retailers are beefing up security, but they fear those numbers are going to continue to grow. In this current economic crisis, it's no surprise the nation is tapping into its strategic reserve. But you might be amused to learn that it's not the U.S. I'm talking about. And it's not crude oil from the U.S. Strategic Petroleum Reserve. The thick liquid being pumped isn't black gold, it's just gold. Maple syrup being taken from Canada's stockpile. That's right, an industry organization called the Quebec Maple Syrup Producers stock around 100 million pounds of the sweet stuff for emergencies. And this year qualifies. With a 21% jump in demand and a short warm spring that resulted in low yields, maple syrup producers haven't been able to keep up. Canada is pumping nearly half its national reserve, 50 million pounds, to meet worldwide demand. Okay, that's enough for my stack of pancakes. How about yours?
Additional support for World Watch comes from Heart of Dakota, providing Christ-centered, literature-based homeschool curriculum from preschool through high school. Get a free catalog today.
In Landerneau, northwest France, the Rohan Bridge spans the A-Lorne River as it meets the sea. But Hannah Harris says it's not just for cars and pedestrians.
A number of people actually live on the bridge. In fact, it's one of the last inhabited bridges in Europe. In the Middle Ages, inhabited bridges were common. They were a natural place of passage and served as a business hub. The bridge at Rohan was built in 1510 and was actually home to a miller, a saddler, a cloth merchant, a goldsmith, and even a prison.
From the 18th century onwards, most of the inhabited bridges were destroyed simply for practical reasons. They were very cluttered and not very easy for traffic.
The Rohan Bridge is one of the few that have been preserved. Today, it holds shops, restaurants, and apartments, and about 15 people call the bridge home. 77-year-old Suzanne Colangelo is one of them. She's lived on the 3rd floor for 20 years.
The view is spectacular. People who come here for whatever reason ask me, "Can I have a look?" It's true that it's very curious.
Living on a bridge also has its share of inconveniences. Flooding is a big problem, and the aged stones are crumbling and in need of repair. The city of Landerneau hopes to register the bridge as a historic monument to ensure it'll be around for many years to come.
How far will a father go to save his son's life? Reporter Caleb Bailey says that a rare genetic condition will almost certainly lead to death for one 2-year-old boy in China. But his father isn't letting that happen without putting up a fight.
In a high-rise apartment in Kunming, China, Xu Wei injects medicine into his son's arm. 2-year-old Hao Yang has been diagnosed with Menkes syndrome, a genetic disorder that affects how the body processes copper. That mineral is crucial for the brain and nervous system. Most patients don't even make it to 3 years of age. And with closed borders from COVID-19, Hao Yang can't travel for treatment. So his dad built a laboratory at home to try to find a cure.
The most important thing for me right now is to save my child's life.
Xu Wei's highest level of education is high school, and before the diagnosis, he ran a small online business. Upon receiving the news of his son's condition, Xu immersed himself in research. Young Hao Yang now receives a daily dose of copper that supplements what his body is missing.
I did think of giving up when I encountered difficulties in the beginning. No one can insist on continuing with something 365 days, every minute and every second. It's impossible.
Only 1 in 100,000 babies are born with Menkes syndrome, so there's very little information for Xu Wei to work with. And what there is published in English. Those are just a few of the barriers Xu had to overcome to help his son. Experts like Professor Anik Tutain says copper injections can alleviate Menkes symptoms and slow down the disease. It took Xu 6 weeks to develop his first vial of copper histidine, a solution he will continue to make so long as his son lives.
I don't want him to wait for death in despair. Even if it fails, I wish for my son to be on a path of pursuing hope.
For one father, it's a daily labor of love.
Thanks, Caleb. And that kind of love isn't just for parents. This 9-year-old created an app to help his autistic younger brother communicate.
They generally don't think about other people. They think, if I make this amazing invention, I'm going to be epic and famous and I'm going to have loads of money. But they don't focus on anyone else and how it affects them.
All Adam has to do is tap a picture and his phone plays a phrase to tell his family what he needs. Sean's app was a school project in pursuit of more than a good grade.
After we created it, he's now asking for more things and he's developing faster.
I'd say Sean's in the running for the best big brother ever. Some of you are really on the ball. Finished your Christmas shopping, haven't ya? Hoping to dodge those shipping delays? Now, if any of your packages haven't landed on your porch yet, let's just hope they aren't among about 400 that landed in a ditch in Alabama. No one is really sure what happened, but a few hundred impatient customers are probably twiddling their thumbs, and their loved ones may be anxiously checking their doorbell cameras. But have no fear, folks, FedEx is on the job. So neither the recipients nor the gifts will be down in the dumps for long. Remember that at the worldwatch.news website, you can try out the show free for a month. And remember, whatever the news, the purpose of the Lord will stand. We'll see you tomorrow.